10 years ago, I fell in love. He was sweet and kind and gorgeous, and the first 6 months were a total dream. Then things started to go terribly awry. He developed debilitating anxiety, he suffered from hallucinations, he got a little aggressive. It got really, really bad. His name was Oliver. He was a Bernese Mountain Dog. I started with taking him on longer walks, more exercise, behavior therapy, training, and when that didn't work, I gave him Chinese herbs, and then Prozac, and then Valium. While this was going on, I talked to a lot of other people about Oliver's issues. What I discovered was that I was definitely not alone. So many other people saw problems in their animals that reminded them of human mental illness. This was the beginning of 7 years of research that culminated in my book, Animal Madness: How Anxious Dogs, Compulsive Parrots, and Elephants in Recovery Help Us Understand Ourselves. This is my friend Pippen and his human Aubrey. Pippen might look really happy and relaxed right now, but he actually suffers from really extreme anxiety from time to time.
When I first met Pippen a little over 5 years ago, he had been shuffled from one shelter to the next. As I was getting to know him, I realized that he had a couple of issues. One of which was that he had extreme anxiety anytime we would try to go anywhere unfamiliar, especially in the car. He would whine like he's doing right now, but about 10 times louder. He'd pace around. He even tried to jump out the window a few times. When he would go into high anxiety mode, I would go into high anxiety mode, and together we were just a mess. I tried taking Pippen everywhere with me in hopes that he would get used to being in the car, but eventually I realized that he just wasn't getting any better. So I went and talked to my veterinarian. Here's his Xanax prescription, and here's mine.
Like the human pharmaceutical industry, the pet farm industry is growing really, really rapidly. From almost $7 billion in 2011 to a projected $9.25 billion by 2015. Emotional problems don't just happen in domestic or captive animals. While researching this book, I traveled to Thailand to talk to the men who help elephants overcome their traumatic pasts. I talked to psychiatrists who have bonobo and gorilla patients and treat them for things like mood disorders and PTSD. I looked into rats and mice who wash or pluck themselves compulsively, a lot like people with OCD or trichotillomania. Today, the number of people dealing with animal behavioral issues is so big that almost every major American city has at least one working cat whisperer.
I'm Daniel Coyote. I'm a cat behavior consultant here in San Francisco, and I operate a service called Go Cat Go.
Daniel, could you tell me a little bit about the kinds of emotional troubles that you see in some of your clients?
The most common ones I would say are fear. Anxiety is a big one.
I'd love to know a little bit more about your own cat, Cubby. I know Cubby has suffered before from feline hyperesthesia. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
For Cubby, hyperesthesia was playing itself out in him chewing his own tail, mostly around the base, and running around in what appeared to be a fashion that he was being chased by his own tail.
What do you mean exactly? Like he saw that tail as an intruder that was chasing him, but it was attached to him?
From my observation, it looks like this. He's sitting there, his tail starts to twitch, he looks back at it, he starts to chew it, over-groom it, and then once he stops, he'll start to walk and then he'll look back at his tail and then he'll run.
Cats like Cubby and dogs like Pippen, not to mention millions of laboratory animals, have really helped us to understand the unhinged human mind. Everything from our antipsychotics and antidepressants to certain forms of behavior therapy were proven effective in other animals first. The question at the heart of my book is really, what can we learn about healing ourselves from the experiences of these other creatures? Groucho Marx supposedly said that, "Blessed are the cracked, for they let in the light." I don't think he was talking about anxious dogs, but he could have been.
Nothing